Alright, welcome back to the procedural generation mini-series. In this short video I'm going to show how we can avoid overlap with our current system. I've set up a new cube here that is labeled machine, although the label doesn't really matter as long as it's not the same label as our numbered cube here. Our numbered cube is labeled scenery, so as long as this isn't scenery, things should work just fine. On top of this cube I've stamped a microchip and it's attached to the actual cube itself. And in here I have a trigger zone, which is a cube that is detecting a label and it's detecting scenery. I've set the dimensions of the cube to be 0.4 in all directions. I tried to use 0.5 at first, but sometimes if an object was touching, then it would cause issues. So this should be safe enough for what I'm trying to do. All I've done here is I've connected this trigger zone detected output into the input of this wireless transmitter that I've named something already here. And so what we're going to be doing is emitting this at the next position while we emit the other cube to the current position, and that way we can detect if something's already there. Down here I have a wireless receiver that is checking for input or checking for any signal from that wireless transmitter, and when that's not detected, then we can go ahead and emit our cube, but if it is detected, it will skip the cube. So to emit the thing where we want, I have this is exactly this current position chip, except it's now grabbing the next position of or X and Z and outputting that into a scene space transform, which I'm then going to use this emitter to emit this object. And this will emit right after we've saved the next and set the current, and before it goes back to the beginning of this. So this is not using the pulse here, but this pulse from inside of this selector. Now in order to get this to work, I had to increase the timeline to 3 frames. So things are very slightly slower, 1 frame slower, but because there were 3 things in the selector inside of here, in order to get things to work properly, I have to do it that way. So with that, we can see this. I'll slow it down a little bit just so we can get a better look. So this cube will constantly be emitted in the next position, and if it ever runs into something that is already there, it won't emit the next cube. We can see that the cube that we've just created goes in front into the next position, and whenever it passes over something that was already there, it won't emit a new cube. So this is a very simple way of avoiding overlap with a path like this. In the next video, I'll be going over a completely different technique on procedural generation that is much less math-based and much more native to how Dreams works. It can be used for more than just path generation as well. It could be used for landscape generation or more sprawling types of things like dungeons or, branching paths, things like that. The new technique will be much easier to understand since there won't be as much math involved. It'll also be a lot faster to build and get things up and running. It has its own downfalls, and I'll get into that in the next video, but I'm excited to show you some other techniques. So if you've been enjoying this, please subscribe and stick around, and I'll see you in the next video.